Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2015. This is the 1 o'clock Board of Liquor License Commissioners meeting. The first items on the docket are expedited items. Emmanuel Lacamiriam, Gabe Inc. Trade name is West Side Liquor Store at 2413 Frederick Avenue. It's a Class A beer, wine, liquor. Application for transfer of ownership.
Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Kelly James on behalf of applicant Emmanuel Lacamiriam.
Okay. We would accept the proffer from you, counsel.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Lacamiriam is fit and qualified. He has been a resident of Baltimore City for over 2 years. He has 100% interest in Gabe LLC, which owns West Side Liquor Store. He has extensive experience owning his grocery store currently, Food Stop Mini Mart. He has met with Community Association, including Mr. William Welsh, who fully supports this liquor license transfer. And finally, we submit to you certificate that he has completed the alcohol awareness course. I also have receipts for the background check that he completed.
The application that I have was signed by Gary Maslin. Are you in Mr. Maslin's office, or is
Yes, I
he?
am an associate
Okay,
in the office.
okay. You said that he has experience with alcohol, liquor, sales,
Well, he's had, I don't believe.
Grocery store.
Grocery store.
grocery store. But he's taken the course.
Yes, sir.
And you are Mr. Emmanuel.
Correct.
Right. Now, Mr. Emanuel, you understand that there are certain rules and regulations that go along with this. This is not constitutional right, it's a privilege. That on occasion, an inspector might come into your establishment and ask you to show them certain documents and things, and you're obligated to show them those documents, et cetera, and follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, one of the reasons why we're here is to enforce the rules. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
So, we don't expect to see you back, okay? And we wish you all the best.
Thank you very
Are
much.
are you moving the liquor store into your grocery store?
No,
Are you gonna get rid of the grocery store altogether?
yeah, have both of them, the grocery store and
You're gonna have both?
right.
No, that's fine.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
That's so that whenever you want to watch it on YouTube, you can be a TV star, you know, or Channel 25 with the city, you know. I'm ready to vote. I'm a yes.
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 Okay, have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
All the best. Good luck.
Just go see Miss Russell over here.
Right over there.
You ready, person? Okay. Marcia Hargrove, Waterford Chocolate LLC, trade name Waterford Chocolate. This is at 1841 East Lombard Street, a Class D, beer, wine, liquor, transfer of ownership from location of 717 South Broadway, and a request for outdoor table service. Chairman, I do have 2 letters of support that just arrived in regards to this application.
Okay. Madam Secretary, is everything else in order?
Yes, sir, we do have everything else. This is in order for this licensee.
And we have counsel.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I'm not about to give
Thank you.
this lady any hard time because, as you know, she used to be a commissioner, right? So if anyone knows the rules, she knows the rules probably better than I do because she served longer. I've only been here 3 weeks. So she knows it all. So a proffer would be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the kind words. It takes a little while to master that big body of law, but you're doing great. Marcia Hargrove is 100% owner of Water for Chocolate Catering LLC. They have been located at 1841 East Lombard for some years. Very, 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 very popular. Recently suffered a fire on the 3rd floor that caused water damage to the 1st floor. That's all been repaired. But one of the things that happened as a result is just overwhelming community support for Water for Chocolate and for this application for transfer of a liquor license. I asked that the application was prepared before I was even eligible to represent them.
Okay.
But since then, I asked that they get a petition to ask whether or not people support them. They have a multi-page document of petition. They did not make copies, so I can show it to you, but would ask if we can have it back and then make the copies and submit later. But Ms. Hargrove meets all of the qualifications for a liquor license. The tremendous community support is there. And she's aware of the need to take the alcohol awareness course. She will do that. We have talked, as you can imagine, extensively about all of the rules. I did that with them to make sure that they really wanted to do a liquor license, and they do. And so I think they're full, fit, and prepared to be licensees.
Now, Ms. Hargrove, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told the gentleman earlier. This is a privilege. You have a very qualified attorney. So if you have any questions or problems, you go to her first, because I would rather not see you back here again. I wish that you do very, very well.
Thank you.
Okay? Mr. Trotter?
When will she go through the course?
As soon as she's able to sign up, I don't pretend to know when the courses are offered, but the next time that it's offered, she will be in that class.
Yeah, there was one today, but because we had the meeting today, I couldn't take it, so.
When is
Okay,
do we know when the next meeting is?
They're offered all the time, so there are several people that you can take it from, so
Okay.
it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So we'll make sure that that's done, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Ms. Haffey,
No questions.
no questions?
How about zoning? Have you changed the zoning for the outdoor tables?
They already have outdoor tables. They exist. Just the permission to serve alcohol. And so,
I'm ready to vote. I'm a yes.
Yes.
all right. Thank you very
Good day.
much. Best of
You're
luck.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All the best. Good luck.
Thank you very much. They won't be back. So a little check that needs to get taken care of here.
Heard that before.
Then the next item, which is Frank Patillo, I'm sorry. That's been postponed until 8/27. So on your regular docket, you have Joe Edwardson and Kathy Pokaloff, Joe Squared LLC, Joe Squared Pizza. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor, an application for a new Class B beer and wine liquor establishment with under Rules 2.08, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures, facilities, seating, and a minimum seating capacity of 75.
And you are?
I'm Joseph Edwardson.
Okay, let's have you sworn in as a witness, please. Raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
We're moving our current restaurant one block to the east from the corner of North and Howard to North and Maryland. Applying for a liquor license at the new location, do the same thing as we did at the old location. We're just going to let the old liquor license die. We have a restaurant license at the old spot, too. We applied for a new one here.
And just for the record, I see that North Charles Community Association has written, signed by Don Donahue, president, has written a letter of support
Sure.
for
And-
the application and the relocation.
Yes, and Chairman, he also submitted an updated list of fixtures and furniture and equipment showing that the investment has been well made over the $200,000 threshold.
And seating capacity minimum 75 people?
Yep.
We're good with that? Yes?
Oh, yes,
Yes, he is, and yeah, that's been provided as well.
Okay. And have you taken, or has Ms. Polikoff taken the alcohol awareness course?
I am. I believe mine's expired. The general manager is up to date, though.
Who's the general manager?
Okan Arabajulio.
How to spell that?
ARAB
Excuse me.
GICLO.
Do you intend to take the course soon?
Yeah, I'll update mine too, sure. But we do currently have somebody approved.
You know the rules about keeping the employee records and,
Sure.
and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that when one of the inspectors, if one of them should walk out and say, I need to see this, you'll show it to them.
No problem.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Why didn't you transfer the license?
We have one minor partner on the old license who lives in a cabin in Vermont. He's 19%. Figure just easier to get a new license without him. It's a pain every year to
Have him sign?
try to find him.
You have something against Vermont and cabins?
No, if I had the
I'm
time to
just
go
kidding.
up there.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Put on the snow tires.
I'm just kidding. Elizabeth, questions?
I don't have any other questions.
We're ready to vote. I'm a yes.
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 All the
Thank you.
Thank you
Just
very
go
much.
and see Miss Russell over there.
Word. Chairman?
Thank you.
Dream Bar and Grill.
Mm-hmm.
East.
Are these for or against?
There's both, so I'll present it both to you.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Anna Sims, Atrium Bar and Grill, LLC, trade name pending. This is at 1623 East Baltimore Street. A Class B, beer, wine, and liquor, application for a new license for a Class B. A restaurant with provisions under 2B, Section 606-201D, 7, $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and a seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people. Chairman, board, we received a couple of different pieces of correspondence, which has been handed out to you. One is a letter from some residents in opposition dated August 16th. Another is a copy of a petition of support that was signed by people that we received on August 19th. Also attached are the investment information in regards to the amount that has been invested into the facilities. Some of the information on the equipment that's also been ordered, a copy of the menu, and information on the alcohol awareness certificate of Ms. Sims, that she's already completed alcohol awareness training. So those are all being entered into the file as Exhibit 1.
Entered as exhibits into the file. Yes?
Yes, and then the only other issue is that because this issue was that this location is within 300-foot radius of a church, under 2B9204.3BB exceptions, there's a portion that allows churches to waive that distance. I had spoken to the minister of, I believe it's Lamb of something, I think it's Lamb of God, Lamb of Life, pardon me, in regards to this issue, and she was not in opposition to this. Oh, is she here? Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, if she's here.
No,
No.
she's the one that talked to the.
Oh, okay. That I don't believe she could make the meeting, and I had not received anything informal, but she did call and say that she was in opposition to the location and that she had spoken to the licensee. So I do not have any formal opposition from the church in the location of this being located within 300 feet.
Okay, before we get started, Mr. Kaninsky, is there anyone opposed to the request? I need you to stand on that side. No?
No, they just submitted the letter for your
Okay,
submission.
the letter. Mr. Kaninsky, are you going to have any of your clients testify? If
I would proffer, and then if you have a question, then we could
then
go
we'll-
from there.
Then we'll swear them in. Okay.
All right, for the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicants. And I sort of did, you have what was given to you by Madam Secretary, but I did a couple of extra documents here, one for each, and a little synopsis indicating, I got one for each one of you. That would indicate those documents, the notice the FDAT filing for the LLC involved here. Alcohol awareness certificate, I know you were asking about that before, I think you have that in your package. Capital investments to date that they have is 535,032. They understand they're going to have to show proof of that to the board. They do not have in there, which they're going to add is the point of sale system, flatware, and other things. But they just want to show you have a investment of over 500,000, a menu and a seating chart of over 75, and they've actually going to maybe by tomorrow have their fire department approval, so they'll have the certificate for the restaurant. It was a restaurant there for a long time. It had a liquor license there some time ago. After that, there was a couple restaurants that were there. The individuals that are here went around to the neighbors and talked to them, and they understand there's 2 or 3 people that they thought it was going to be a bar. They understand that this is going to be a restaurant. I actually have some more petitions for you that just brought me today of probably another 100 or so. I could submit those because they were going around talking to people in the neighborhood. They've talked to the pastor of the church. Along with that, there is a business plan that I just received. I'll submit as part of the record. They plan probably 70 food, 30 alcohol, so it's not going to be, more of a bar. I'm going to submit this as a business plan. And, the gentleman who did the business plan is here. He's the real big guy in the back there. I don't want to get him excited. They plan on being open usually 11 o'clock, closed during the week, 10, 11, weekend later. And if you're all familiar with the area, they're about 2 blocks from Johns Hopkins Hospital, so they would plan on drawing that kind of clientele, as well as the people from the neighborhood. As indicated, they plan on having about 8 full and part-time employees. They're going to hire people from the neighborhood as much as they can. The menu is a little bit different. That's the uniqueness here. It's a Cajun Creole menu from Louisiana, depends how you say it. The chef is here. He's just raising his hands. He worked at the Prime Rib as well as other establishments, so he's very well located. And the bar person is going to be there. He's attended bar for probably 20 years. We have the business consultant, the other 50% owner, and of course the individual did the business plan. I think other than that, they're pretty well qualified for this, and understanding that it was, I think the place that was in there before they had trouble with was more of a bar than it was a restaurant, but they want to be absolutely a restaurant.
Which one is Anna?
This is Anna right here.
It's right there. Okay. Here's my question.
She's going over that.
Who's going over?
I gave it to her. She can.
Is Anna going to talk about that?
Yeah, she would I can tell you, she understands that most of these things have to do with Class A. This is not a Class A operation. It's a Class B. Their reference has to be more with regard to liquor stores. This is not a liquor store. They will not going to have a separate liquor area. If you order an entree and you want a bottle of wine, you could get one, but you're not going to be able to get a bottle of wine to go without food in the place. The uniqueness of the type of establishment is that it's going to be a Creole Cajun type business, which they don't have in the area. And the place has always been commercial, so it's not going to. We're not doing any change in it. It's going to be a commercial. And I've given this to the applicant, and they've talked to some of these people in the neighborhood. And they understand that everybody's not for it, but they understand that they've heard your speech that it's a privilege. If they don't adhere to the rules and regulations, they made a big investment here for naught.
I hear you. Does your client have anything to add? She has to be sworn in if she's going to testify.
You want to add any? If you got to raise your right hand, then
You
just.
got to raise your right hand and get sworn in, unless you're okay with what your attorney has.
You're okay with what I said?
Yes.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners?
Do we have anything in writing from the church?
We done, other
No.
than the Ms. Page had talked to her, and then if you want to make it conditional upon getting an email or something from the pastor,
Well, according to the statute.
it says in writing.
It says in
Right,
writing.
I
yeah.
understand.
And she will provide it. It's just that she was on when I spoke to the pastor, she was not able to write it right this moment. And I told her that I would convey the issue that she wasn't in opposition, and that depending on when we do the license, that she would provide it in writing.
So if you made it, say it's already providing she gives it, I understand that. I told them that.
conditional on?
With that condition, I'm a yes.
With that condition, I'm a yes as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Go to see Ms. Russell. Duck Choon Kim. Okay, Duck Choon Kim, Kalmu Inc., and it's Kalmu Liquors and Grocery at 4742 Frederick Avenue, a Class A. This is a request to reopen after being closed for more than 90 days under Provision 2B, Article 10, 202E-4. We received a letter that is dated May 1st from the licensee asking to reopen because he was closed since May 1st. And he just wants to come back and renew his license and to be reopened because it had passed more than 90 days.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, how you doing?
You're
sir?
Mr. Kim?
He's Mr. Kim, and I'm here to translate.
Okay, you're going to translate. So
Both.
we need to have them sworn in, and the translator needs to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please.
Right hand. There
Do
you
you
go.
swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
As a translator, do you swear to translate accurately what is said in this hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Your name?
Young Kim, YOUNG KIM.
Tell us again why he was closed more than 90 days?
형이 저 90일 이상 왜 문을 닫느냐고 한국 갔다고 그렇게.
I'm Korean.
Oh, that's okay. I don't,
No. What he's saying is that he went to Korea
yeah,
and he kind of stayed longer than he expected.
okay,
That was it.
okay. Now, when he had the business before, okay, before he went to Korea, he was selling alcohol and liquor, and he took the alcohol awareness course?
Yes, he did, sir.
Yes. And he knows that even though he speaks very limited English, that on occasion, an inspector might go in and ask for certain documents. Yes?
In 2017. His alcohol awareness expires in 2017.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And the fact that he doesn't speak English very well will not be an excuse
2012.
to not produce those documents.
Yes, sir.
He'll need to get someone, okay, or figure it out.
He will
Okay.
call me.
Okay, he'll call you. All right. Questions from the commissioners?
So it's within the
Yeah, I know, I
grace
know,
period.
I know.
No problem.
I'm a yes.
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 Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Good luck.
Okay, here comes.
This is our violations docket. So the first item was postponed until September 17th, and that's Guprik Singh at Main Street Bar and Liquor. The second item that we'll be hearing today is Yamat Ares and Nurjan at Rama Enterprises, LLC, which is trade name Mojitos, 3301 Foster Avenue. This is a Class B, D7, beer, wine, and liquor. This is violations of a couple of rules. Violation of Rule Public Welfare 3.12, 312, which occurred on July 4th, 2015, at 10:30 when two inspectors went in regarding noise complaints. The second violation is in regards to illegal conduct, also on July 4th, 2015. Those same two inspectors found that they did not have the right to have live entertainment and dancing. But that's, we'll just,
But I want it in the record in case there's an appeal.
live entertainment and dancing. The next one is in regards to illegal conduct, in regards to the issue of not having a trader's license and that they found that it was expired, again, on July 4th, 2015. There's a violation of 3.03 records on July 4th, when the two inspectors asked for information in regards to the routine records, they could not be provided. Another one in regards to 4.10A, relations with wholesalers. When the two inspectors went into the went into the bar, they were not provided with wholesaler receipts, and that they saw that they were selling retail alcohol. The last one is 3.02, same day, July 4th. After numerous complaints, when they asked if they could speak to a manager about the violations, they were not able to do so, and they left the location. So that's a summary of the charges.
Okay, gentlemen, this is how we're going to proceed. We're going to have all the witnesses that are going to testify. Raise your right hands. It'll be the two inspectors and your client, I suspect, if he's going to testify. Is he going to testify?
It's possible, so we'll swear him in.
Okay, so let's swear him in. Let's do all three of them.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Okay, here's what I propose to do. We're going to have the inspectors ratify and affirm the charges. Then I'll give them an opportunity to speak. Counsel, you have an opportunity to cross.
Sure.
Okay? Then you'll have an opportunity to direct your client and then close. Okay? All right? You with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Can I put my name in for the record?
Yes, sir.
I apologize. Abraham Hurdle for Nerlin at Rama Enterprises. Trading as Mojito in this instance. The name on the sign is Sheba. I do have some preliminary, I guess, motions. I would object to these letters. They're not, these people aren't here. They're all hearsay. If it was that important, they could be here. These alleged service records that are attached aren't certified in any fashion, so I'm not sure if they're official.
Well, he can come up.
And there's also emails, and again, I object because they're hearsay and not, these people could have come to testify.
You have one.
I don't necessarily see the individuals that are on all these different letters. And if you'd like to testify, certainly that'd be.
One what?
One person from the community that's here to speak.
Okay, let's have him sworn in. Are you going to testify?
If you
Well,
would
we're going to have you sworn in just in case.
Yes, sir.
Have him sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so we're going to hear from the inspectors first. This is an administrative hearing, so you've saved it for the record, but I'm going to let them in. So if you decide to appeal, the circuit court judge will make his decision or her decision as to what will come in or what won't come in.
I do have one more matter. I apologize for interrupting. I'm
Don't
sorry.
apologize for anything. Do your
I would
job.
like to make a motion to dismiss a couple of these charges. I feel that they're duplicative. I think one of them we may have to have testimony on before we can remove it. But the issue with records, I feel like it's duplicative of the issue with wholesalers. I feel like they're being punished twice for what essentially, allegedly, is buying alcohol not through a wholesaler. And one of the violations is because they don't have records of it, which of course they wouldn't if they're not buying it from a wholesaler, which is the violation. It's, I guess, violation 4 and 5 on the list.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that
Okay?
until they have an opportunity to testify and you have an opportunity to cross.
Absolutely.
Then I'll let you renew your motion.
Thank you. I have additional motions, but I'll save them for that time as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
You ratify and affirm everything that the executive secretary has said with regard to the violations, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what else do you have to tell us?
I'll just read the report, our report that we wrote.
No, I know how to read. Just tell me what happened when you went in that night. Tell me what you saw and what happened.
Okay. So when
Object.
To what?
He's reading from a document that isn't in evidence or submitted to the board.
You'll have to admit the file into evidence, sir.
That's already been admitted. The file's already been admitted.
Has it been? Has it been introduced?
This is, we will, I will, listen,
I asked her to admit
the file into
as
the evidence, yes,
has
it's
been-
evident, yeah.
Event there's an appeal.
Yes, he
Excellent.
said that
Just
when
wanna
he
make
was doing,
Right, I
yes.
said that at the beginning.
did.
I
thought.
apologize. I wanted to make sure.
Okay,
He did.
go ahead.
So with John Chrisomalis, Inspector, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On July 4th at approximately 10:30 p.m., myself and Inspector Chronocolis conducted a special investigation on the establishment located at 3301 Foster Avenue in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland. After parking directly across the street of the location, Inspectors Chronocolis and Chrisomalis observed very loud music that could be heard across the street. Inspector Chronocolis entered the establishment, Mojitos, also known as Sheba's, undercover to discreetly observe the activities inside. Upon entering the establishment, Inspector Chronocolis observed a male and a female dancing to music being played by a DJ. At that time, Inspector Chronocolis sat at the bar directly in front of the door. After approximately 5 minutes of observing, he sent a text to me, Inspector Crescimales, and I proceeded to enter the location. When one of the bartenders saw me, she immediately entered the location, gave customers and DJ a warning that I was coming. This witnessed by Inspector Chronocolis while in the establishment. After entering the establishment, I made contact with the bartender and identified myself. She at that time told me that the other bartender was in charge, and I made her aware of the loud music violation. I proceeded to conduct a routine inspection and discovered that the location, the trader's license was expired. While writing my report, I noticed a Hispanic male enter the bar with a case of Heineken beer. He placed the beer on the counter, and the bartender grabbed it from the bar. At that time, I asked where the beer came from, and the bartender responded, "From the liquor store, why?" At that time, I made her aware that this was a violation of Rule 4.10, and at this time, she gave back the male the case of beer, which he took back into his car. I asked the bartender to provide me with liquor receipts, at which time I was informed they did not know where they were. I made her aware that the trader's license was also expired, and she told me that she has been telling the licensee for months to get a new one, and he is ignoring her and asked me what she can do to make him get it. I asked her what role was she played in the establishment. She told me she was running it with the other female who she had introduced to me as the manager. At that time, I asked for them to contact the license holder and let me speak with him directly, which they refused to do. The two bartenders got in a verbal argument in Spanish, and at that time, I made them aware of the violations and left the location. At no time did I make contact with Inspector Chronocolis as he exited the location 3 to 4 minutes afterwards.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Mr. Crisomales, you said you went in on July 4th, is that correct?
July 4th, correct.
That was a holiday, right?
It was.
It's a particularly festive holiday, right?
It is.
Would you agree that more so than average, bars are a little more boisterous than normal on that day?
I couldn't agree with that.
You wouldn't agree?
No, it's my first 4th of July working, so
But it's possible that
anything's
the 4th of
possible.
July is more boisterous than normal.
Correct.
Do you remember what the bartender's name was?
I did not. She didn't identify herself. I asked her numerous times.
And how loud was it in terms of decibels at the location?
We don't do the decimal readings. The health department does that. Myself and Inspector Chronocolis could hear it approximately 1 block away.
Do you know what the decibel rules are with the health department?
We don't do the decimal readings. The health department does that.
So you're not sure if it was actually in violation besides it being loud?
If I can hear a block away, it's in violation.
Is that what the health department rule says?
That's what the liquor board rule says. If it's disrupting the peace and it can be heard away from the building that far, it's disturbing the peace.
Where in the rule? Never mind. You said the trader's license was expired?
It was.
If I may, I'd like to introduce an exhibit. It's a new trader's license to indicate that that issue has been resolved at this time.
We looked it up also, and it has been.
722, right.
And I also have a document indicating that the business is in good standing as well, if I may. Exhibit 4, maybe? Mr. Crisomales, have you been to this location on other instances?
Yes, I have.
I have no further questions.
I have a question. That's okay. How many times have you been there previously?
Say I've been there approximately 10 times
Why?
on 311 complaints.
How many 311 complaints have there been, do you know?
Offhand, I can't give you that. I think it's in the evidence file.
What's in the file, Madam Secretary? She's got it.
Yes, we attached several calls over the last 6 months in regards to this licensee. Excuse me. Let me give you the exact number.
That would be nice.
Sorry. That's what he objected to.
Service request.
The service requests. So when you're looking at it, on August, well, it's going beyond the state from before the state on, June 22nd, there was a call, June 24th, June 11th, June 7th, June 4th, May 31st, May 21st, May 17th, May 13th, May 10th, 2 times, May 7th, and those were all in this particular license year, so that would corroborate that he had been there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times before July 4th that there were 311 calls placed in the particular license year. And since Mr. Chris Malice does service both the downtown and some of the southeast, that would be reasonable that he would have been out to several calls.
I have a follow-up question if possible.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Chrysomalis, you do a lot of 311 complaint inspections, is that correct?
I do.
It's true that not all 311 complaints are actually violations, is that correct?
Correct.
So not necessarily all these calls would be violations.
That's correct.
And in fact, in the allegedly 10 times you've been there, there was only one day you found them in violation, correct?
I found them in violation the one day, and I gave them 2 verbal warnings in the past, which they corrected the issue immediately, and that's why we gave them the verbal warnings.
So in the past, they've been cooperative and
In the past, they have been.
What's the normal 311 complaint? Noise?
Usually noise. We've gone noise. We've gone disturbing the peace. We've gone fight, I believe, outside. But mostly noise.
And when you've gone there for noise before, what did they do to correct it? They shut it down?
They would turn the music down to an acceptable level. In the bar's defense, he did try to do some soundproofing alongside the neighbor's wall. However, it's a corner, so the exterior wall is still leaking a lot of noise to the rest of the neighborhood. So he did do some work to correct the immediate neighbor's issues, but the music is still leaking out into the street.
Now, am I correct in stating that you observed a live DJ?
That was Inspector Kranakolis. He went in.
Okay.
I have just one more
Hold on.
question for Mr. Chrysomalis. I
Okay.
apologize.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Mr. Chrysomalis, to the best of your knowledge, in the last 2 weeks, I want to make sure we focus on just this question. In the last 2 weeks, you have not received any 311 complaints for this location. Is that correct?
That is correct. However, I think that the location
Objection.
was closed.
Okay. We're done. He's done with you. Step around. You step up. You're already sworn. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you the question. Live DJ and dancing, that's what you saw?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to add in addition to what that inspector has already testified to on the record?
No.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Kranakolis, you have been an inspector beyond this 4th of July. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you have been to bars on other 4th of Julys in the past?
Yes.
Would you agree that 4th of July tends to be an unusual day as opposed to a regular Tuesday in terms of how boisterous the bars are and the activity level? So yes?
Yes and no. Maybe.
Didn't get the answer you wanted on that one, did you, Mr. Herman?
Didn't not get the answer I wanted. Yes or no?
I understand. Gotta be careful and cross, because you never know what they're gonna say.
Yeah, I don't think you want to ask me another question.
He might.
No,
Don't tell him
dare.
what. Don't challenge a lawyer. It's not good decorum. He's here to represent
You
his
said they
client.
were dancing. How were they dancing?
They were dancing. They were holding each other, dancing, going around in circles.
Could I ask him to provide an example?
No. No.
No.
I'm sorry.
Unless you want to dance with him. And I don't think you want to do that.
I have no further questions. I mean, I have no
Okay.
further questions for this.
All right. Community, sir. Do you have, first of all, what is your name?
Sean Flanagan, here in capacity as President of Canton Community Association.
Okay, Mr. Flanagan, you've heard the testimony and the cross-examination. Do you have anything in terms of an eyewitness as to this? And I'm not asking you, do you know from people in the community that don't particularly like it?
Sure.
I get all that,
Understood.
okay? But do you have any eyewitness testimony that you would like to add to this hearing?
I object at this time. We're here today for the July 4th violation.
That's what I said, for this hearing. Eyewitness testimony for
July
this hearing.
4th.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I was there July 4th.
Okay. Do you have anything that you would like to add that you saw or heard on July 4th?
I believe the filings with the inspectors are absolutely accurate. The degree of music was a block away. It was actually 2 blocks away. And the assertion that this was an instance related to July 4th is patently false. I mean, this is a standard operating
I object to that
procedure.
answer.
Well, overruled because, and now I'm going to ask you, how do you know that's a standard operating procedure? Do you live nearby?
I do not, but given the numerous complaints I've received from direct relationships, indirect, I've constantly driven by and been in the establishment.
You've gone by
Yes, sir.
personally
Yes, sir.
and heard it
Yes, sir.
on days other than the 4th of July?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What else?
I think that is accurate. I can tell you, I've been president of Canton Community Association for 2 years. All the bars in Canton collectively, I have not received as many calls, complaints, concerns, expressions of reluctance to be involved, given some of the patrons and experience directly with the management. This is a nuisance bar, and I hope this is an opportunity to put them on notice.
Okay.
I do have some
Cross-examination.
questions, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, you said that you've received multiple complaints of this establishment. Is that correct?
Yes.
The place has been open for how long, to your knowledge?
It's been operating as Sheba's, from my experience, at least 2 years.
And the complaints, from what I can see, really only started in, looks like mid-March, is that correct?
This has become my attention with complaints within the last 4 to 6 months, yes.
Mr. Schertle, if you open the door, I'm going to let him testify to whatever you ask, okay?
Well, the complaints they're listed
Okay.
here, and
All right.
I'm just trying to address the time frame here.
Okey-dokey.
To the best of your knowledge, the last 6 months would kind of encompass all the complaints.
That's been my involvement
To
with
your
complaints the last 6 months.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Direct to your client.
Mr. Nolan, you are the owner of the establishment, is that correct?
That's correct.
And to your knowledge, these complaints were only brought to your attention within the last month, is that correct?
That's correct.
You hired a new manager about 6 months ago,
That's correct.
and she's been running it as a manager would.
Yes.
Prior to that, you managed the establishment for the previous 2.5 years?
Yes.
Did you have any, do you know of any violations
No.
during the 2.5 years that you were kind of managing it?
No, I had no complaints even from the neighborhoods. But I can tell you what the changes are, in the last 6 months too. I can give you a history of what was going on.
No need. So a new manager came on and arguably a new staff as well within the last 6 months.
Yes. We wanted to stay late within the last 6 months. We used to close at 10 o'clock before.
So the moment you got these violations, is it true that you fired most of the staff?
I fired everybody on last Wednesday.
And previously, you were open till, you said 10 o'clock,
Yes.
and this manager was open till 2.
Yes,
And you plan to go back to being open till 10, is that correct?
that's correct.
And you're currently reviewing the possibility of having all of your new staff members be TAM certified?
Yes.
And you don't plan to have any live entertainment in the future? No DJs? No dancing?
No.
And you're working on a plan to have better supervision of both staff and management?
Yes, that's why I'm currently, as of last Wednesday, I've been cleaning and interviewing people. I don't have anybody in staff like right now.
When when you were managing, all of your purchases went through a wholesaler, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And to your knowledge, all the purchases previously had been through a wholesaler.
Yes, sir.
This violation brought that to light that that may not be the case.
Yes, even the violation, I just got it about 10 days ago.
And the trader's license you renewed?
Yes,
And the corporation is in good standing to your knowledge?
yes,
And you will continue to purchase all of your alcohol through a wholesaler in the future?
yes,
And if an inspector comes in, Mr. Kranakolis or Mr. Chrysomalis, you would cooperate?
yes. Inspectors used to come before when I was managing it. We never had any problems.
Never had any problems. I'd like to renew my motion to dismiss the wholesaler and records violations. Well, one of the two at this time. I feel that they're duplicative.
Which one?
I think violation 4 and 5. So 3.03, I believe, and 4.10. It's with regards to records from purchases of wholesalers and then purchasing from not a wholesaler. I find that it's two ways of charging for the same violation.
They have all the records, other records? Can I ask the inspector, did you check employee records?
They didn't have any records, Commissioner.
Have any records? Okay, so it's not only wholesaling records, it's all the records.
And I can address that with my client if you'd like. Mr. Nerlin, do you keep employment records?
Yes, I do.
You keep detailed employment records?
Yes, I do.
And if today someone went in there, when you're operating, if someone went in and asked for them, they'd be in a drawer in the location available?
It's behind the bartenders. That's where I always keep it. It's behind the bartenders in the drawer. It's always there. It's laminated.
To your understanding, these issues have come from poor management by the managers that were there, correct?
That's partly it.
Would you-
Mostly it.
Would you agree that there could be better supervision going forward to prevent this from happening again? I do have originals, so I would need them back. I do have some wholesale records from purchases, if you'd like to review them.
That's just, Chairman, I just wanted to make a note of the rural records, 3.03A, that a licensee shall keep accurate records of all purchases and from the date and year at the location. So the rule of records is the fact that you have to keep the accurate records. And then when we wrote them up under relations with wholesalers, it's that no licensee shall purchase alcoholic beverages from anyone else. So there are two different rules that we wrote, violations that we wrote them up for. In response to Mr.
Does he have good
Hiddle.
credit with all the distributors?
Are you currently up to date, to your knowledge, with all the distributors?
Yes, I am.
I heard testimony, something about 6 months, Mr. Earl?
Correct. Mr. Nerlin, when did you hire this manager?
It's about 6 months ago. And I used to be an Ethiopian restaurant. I used to sell Ethiopian food, and I wanted to keep it like that for like the first 2.5 years.
Were you there
Yes.
during that 6-month period?
This is the last 6 months, but
Yes.
I go home earlier. She kept it open until 2 o'clock.
Okay,
But I go home around 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m.
okay. What time do you open?
About 4 o'clock.
So you're saying it's a restaurant until about 8, and then from that it's,
No, it was a restaurant until 10.
okay.
But we stopped serving Ethiopian food. They convinced me if we keep it open until 2 o'clock and have some Spanish music, would be good. The revenue would be good. I tried it for 6 months. I got these violations, fired everybody. I'm trying to get it back to where it was before.
Were you ever made aware of the number of 311 calls?
Now, after I investigated, after I get the violations,
I mean, no one in your bar told you that you had
they
multiple 311 calls? And
Nobody.
police were dispatched, or inspectors were dispatched to...
when I investigated, I found out my manager and the next door neighbor were almost at war.
You know, you're responsible for the liquor license,
I do.
and everything that goes on with that license.
I understand.
You know, what I heard, can't speak for the other commissioners, what I heard from your direct of your client was all prospective, what he's going to do in the future. What I'm here for, to listen to, is what happened on July 4th. So I haven't heard any testimony that there wasn't live entertainment on July 4th, that there wasn't dancing on July 4th, that he didn't have the records on July 4th, that it wasn't a public nuisance on July 4th. I haven't heard anything. That all I've heard is prospective remediation. That's what I've heard.
In addition, the license, the trader's license, and the SDAT weren't up to date.
They should have jumped out at you.
That was on the 22nd. Anything else before we vote?
No, we would, at this time, admit to the 5 violations. My client was not there that night. He has no testimony to indicate these things did not happen. You know, as you've indicated, not only is prospective, but the other testimony he's given is, I guess, reflective beyond this date, indicating that he has managed it, I would say, very well prior to this new manager. It goes without saying that that situation was, that hire was a mistake. He has since terminated the entire staff. He is planning to regroup, go back to the successful, quiet, community caring ways that he has been. And, you know, as the community member indicated, he hopes to be put, you know, he has been put on notice by this. I think it's important to know that this is the first time he's been before the board as a licensee. He's been open for 3 years. You know, so he does,
And as
he
you
would
know-
request leniency if at all
And
possible.
as you know, the first time, the maximum for each violation is $500 on the first time.
Certainly.
Right, okay.
I guess the last thing I will say is that I spoke at length with Mr. Nerlin, and it's clear, for better or worse, that he had no idea these terrible things were happening.
You know what?
Had
Mr.
he
Hurley?
known-
That's not an excuse for me because he's the licensee.
Absolutely.
The license is his name, and he's responsible for what occurs in his establishment.
Absolutely.
It's not his employee's establishment, it's his establishment.
And that was part of the discussion
He
that we had.
wasn't even there that night, and they couldn't reach him that night.
I believe
The
that,
testimony is that they couldn't reach him.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I don't think they couldn't reach me. They didn't want to reach me.
I think
That's-
that,
that was
Well,
what
that was your staff's problem.
absolutely.
That's not the
Absolutely.
inspector's problem.
I understand.
Okay.
I have nothing
Well,
against
I'm not trying to
inspectors.
mitigate his lack of oversight. I think that that's absolutely admitted. I'm saying that, putting that aside, admitting to the lack of oversight, had he known at any point that this was the situation, things would have been resolved significantly sooner. The moment he found out about these issues, they were resolved immediately. He has done his best to change things going forward. We can't undo what happened on the 4th.
I understand.
The goal is to prevent it from happening again, to be reflective of the community, the wonderful inspectors who have repeatedly tried to help this establishment. You know, he'd like to remain open and just get things going back the way they should be.
Well, you know, it takes 2 of the 3 to agree on what's going to happen. My opinion is that he's guilty, that you've already submitted on the violations, but I would suspect that I would like to merge 303 and 410, Madam Secretary.
Okay.
That's what I would like to do.
Okay.
And the other 4 would be $250 each, which is $1,000 total, and 30 days.
There's another one on the other page. There's also 306.
Sixth one, sorry.
On cooperation.
Cooperation, 250.
Okay.
1250.
And I'm sorry, 1250 and what else?
Total,
Mm-hmm.
total 1250, and we're going to merge 303, 3.03, and 4.10.
Okay. I just want to make sure there was just a fine.
No, and 30 days suspension.
And 30-day suspension. That's why I didn't hear that
Now,
part.
that's up to the other two commissioners, what they want to do. I don't know what they want to do.
Being in a community that is such disruption. People live there. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's noise going out. And it's obvious the man does not manage his own business. You can say that he left at 8 o'clock at night, but he's responsible. I would like to see it up to $500 a fine, 4 fines, 2,000, and I would take him out for 30 days.
I agree with the 30 days. I would like to separate out the 303 and 410 because I do think that they're separate charges, and I think the fact that there weren't any documents, that's significant.
So
So I say 250.
fine?
I'm sorry, 250 for the 5, and not for 302,
Okay.
violation 302.
Okay.
So that's 1,000.
So,
That's 1,200.
so, is it, no, we're back.
I think you merged one? No, you did.
I didn't
did
merge
not.
any,
1250.
so
You didn't merge any.
250 for the 5. So
What's yours?
So that'd be 1,500 total.
No, wait a minute.
I was going to merge them too, but I was going to charge 500 per incident.
Okay, so we're all over the place.
I think it's 1250 across the board, but for various reasons. I think is what it seems like.
Wait, well, we have to get it straight for the record.
That's fine, 1,250 across the board. But we want to have 30 days.
6.
So 12,
Cooling
But
down
that only
period.
gives us, 1250, Mr. Trotter, only gives us 5 violations. And that's if we merge. And,
I'll agree to merge the two, 303 and 410.
okay. So, Madam Secretary, we have a merger on 303 and 410. It's 250 on each one. It's 1,250
plus 125.
plus 125 for the hearing and 30 days.
Is that,
Go ahead, Mr. Hurdle.
So just for, so that the record is clear on my end, so I'll agree to merge the two, 303 and 410, and keep the 302 violation.
Okay.
Fine.
For 5.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And
Now,
and
just
how-
for the record,
Mhm.
if you file an appeal within the statutory period, now there's an administrative rule that has been passed that it stays the penalty and the suspension. That's up to you and your client. If not, it goes into effect.
my question for the board would be, as he's been closed for 2 weeks, having fired his staff,
Nope.
is it possible we could lower the suspension to 2 more weeks and therefore it would be 30 days total? And therefore, it would still be the 30-day cooling off period that the board seems to so desire, and he would be, it would arguably,
Just the number of 311 calls would say,
Commissioner Haffey says no. Commissioner Trotter says no. That's 2. It's a no.
And for the record, just to make sure, how long for the payment? Is it 30 or just 30, or how long are you requesting for the payment?
we have 60 days because he'll be closed for 30 days.
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sure. Hold on, Madam Secretary.
No problem. I'm giving notes.
So it's 1375.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
60 days to pay. Mr. Hurdle, we need you to pick up the front.
I wrote it somewhere.
This is the last violation.
No, that's how I wrote it phonetically.
You wrote the thing down.
I know.
Okay.
Which is next?
This is 400 South Eaton. So this is Christian Rugal, Carlos Sotelo, and this is at Amigos Bar, Inc., trade name Amigos Bar. This is at 400 South Eaton, a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. The first violation is a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, for an incident that occurred on July 11th, 2015, where Inspector Chronocolis and Agent Fossler visited the establishment, and it was open after hours at approximately 1:13 and then 1:08, where we observed patrons consuming alcohol. A violation of 4.18 on July 11th as well, where when Mr. Inspector Chronocolis and Agent Fossler visited the establishment, and they witnessed people exiting and the fire door being not allowing people entry and being a blocked exit. And then violation of 3.03, employee records. Again, at that same date on July 11th, they were not able to provide the inspector or Agent Fossler with records, and the store manager could not provide any employee records when asked by the BLCC staff. Also, we did at the last minute get letters in regards to this from to the council members' offices, and I do not have copies. They only provided me with one copy, and I did let the other attorney know that those were just received today. And during the hearing.
What council member?
Councilmember Brandon Scott in the 2nd District and Councilman James Kraft in the 1st District both sent letters in regards to their concerns regarding this violation.
Did you tell Mr. Previs that prior to the hearing?
I walked over to him today, when I got it. These arrived at 1 o'clock when we started.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, for the record, Peter Previs on behalf of Amigos Bar Inc. To my immediate right is Mr. Javier Sotelo.
And then this one is
the brother of Carlos Sotelo, one of the licensees, and the other licensee, Mr. Rugel, is the Baltimore City resident licensee. But Mr. Javier Sotelo is the full-time operator and was there that night. With regard to the letters, Mr. Chairman, I object. I went down to the Liquor Board office at 11:30 today. I asked to review the file. I asked to see if there were any letters. I was advised there weren't. Apparently there weren't at that time. In another case regarding the same client, I have taken an appeal that's pending before the Court of Special Appeals regarding one of the issues being last-minute letters being presented without my opportunity to even read them. I have not seen the letters, and I object to them being admitted.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Yeah, because if they're going to put letters in, they need to get the letters in before lunchtime of the day of the hearing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You've got to give the council an opportunity to look at them and prepare. That's akin to a criminal case where you're not giving them discovery.
I agree.
Where it's exculpatory, or even if it isn't. So I appreciate the fact that they took the time to write the letters, but that's for another day.
With regard to the violations, Mr. Chairman, we admit all 3 of the violations and would like to be heard in mitigation.
That's fine. That's fine. Just for the record, Madam Secretary, we admitted the file for the record, correct? In case Mr. Previs decides to take an appeal?
You're doing this right now, so by this I will include all of the previous exhibits as
Without
part of the file.
objection, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Previs, you're welcome to make a proffer as to the case.
Thank you. Your Honor, Mr. Javier Sotelo was there on the evening and occasion. As indicated in the reports that are in evidence, the 2 inspectors did begin observing the premises at 12:45, which is 15 minutes before the Class D closing time. This premise is very close to Mr. Chairman's office. It's across from the old Merchant Tire on the corner of Eaton and Bank. It's 400 South Eaton. It's in a Class B3 zone.
Are you telling him that so he can come down to my office and do something bad? No. Okay, go ahead. I'm just kidding.
I mentioned his address, not yours.
I know exactly where it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I knew that you did. I'm just for the record.
All right.
In any event, this is a Class D license. There are approximately 60 Class D licenses left in the city. There's probably another 1,100 other licensees that can remain open till 2, and there's one notable licensee that can remain open all night long. That's not an excuse. The licensee is required to close when the license designates. The problem is the nitpicking and the hassles from the customers that don't understand why everybody else is 2 o'clock. And Mr. Sotelo let his guard down, and he didn't clear them out as he should have. The report indicates the front door was locked. It was 1:13. They're not allowed, and he knows this, and I've counseled him with regard to this incident. 1 o'clock doesn't mean stop selling at 1 o'clock and finish your beer. 1 o'clock means everything off, everybody out of the place except for employees cleaning up. He let his guard down. Now, with regard to the priors with regard to this client, I don't know, but I'm going to assume that the current board has a 3-year look back. In the event that there's more than that,
You are correct, just for the record, 3 years.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
There was an incident prior to the 3-year look back that regarded buying not from a wholesaler. Under our interesting system of purchasing alcohol in Maryland, it's sometimes cheaper to go to Beltway Fine Wine than it is to buy one bottle from the wholesaler. That's for another place and another day. With regard to within the 3-year period, there is a case that, as I explained, is on appeal in the Court of Special Appeals, and
I'm not even thinking about that one because that's on appeal, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Priebus, okay? So that's not before us.
Okay,
I don't know how it's going to go, so,
Right.
okay?
Thank you. So, with that said, it is his first violation. He knows, he hasn't had anything since. He knows he's got to be more vigilant with getting the doors, everybody out and getting the doors closed. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Safety?
Who's inspector?
They were together, but he's already submitted on their testimony.
How
So
many people were in the place
Approximately 25.
at 1:13?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there were probably 9 employees and 16 patrons.
9 employees.
It's not that big a place, but
No questions. Any 311 calls?
I did not pull the 311 records for this because it wasn't mentioned as part of the report itself.
Mr. Fossler, I would like to ask you a question without objection from Mr. Priebus. Is there anything that you would like to add to this with regard to this offense or this location for this night that we should know or consider?
No, Chairman. I think Mark Fossler, Agent Mark Fossler, Baltimore City Liquor Board. No, Chairman. I think my report says it all.
What's troubling to me a little bit, Mr. Priebus, is the fact that the doors were locked, and not only could they not get entry with the police, but people couldn't get out.
Fire door.
So that's a little troubling. Now, that either tells me that your client or someone there knew the deal about the 1 o'clock, or they put a lot of people at risk. That's troubling.
if I may address that, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
please, do.
Having discussed this with my client, the report indicates Inspector Foster entered through the side door that was unlocked. So,
I understand the side door, but what about
right.
the front door and the
front-
back door?
The
The front.
Well, there's
or the
there's
front
2
door.
doors.
Okay.
2 doors.
The front door was locked.
is locked. It's 1 o'clock. They lock it. The employee is there at the front door.
Okay.
It's not a fire. It shouldn't have been locked, but
Well,
it's
right,
not.
and the police
it's
are
not
trying
like
to get in the front door, and
right.
the Baltimore City Police can't get in the front door. Am I right or wrong?
It took the gentleman to unlock the locks. It wasn't like it wasn't the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory.
No, I'm not saying that.
Right.
But
But
the
I
fact
understand
is
Your
that-
Honor's point. I
Okay.
mean, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman's point. I neglected to mention about the employee records. He did have the employee records. They were upstairs. He was quite upset and nervous at the time. He has the records. They just weren't down in the bar. He's got them down in the bar now. He does have
Prospectively.
records.
They've
Yeah,
seen
absolutely.
this before.
It's mitigation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm gonna hold judgment. I'm gonna listen to the other two commissioners first.
No previous violations, except one under appeal,
Yes, sir.
3-year period. This is his first offense?
Of record.
Mm-hmm.
I would say $250 per incident.
I agree 250 for the first two. I think, like Chairman indicated, I'm troubled by the fact that the front door was locked and police couldn't come in. I'm also troubled by the fact that it's beyond hours and there are 25 people still in the establishment. So 250, the employee records, 250 for 4.05 and 418. And 250 for the employment records as well.
That's 3 violations, 250 each on each violation.
Yes.
750. No suspension.
No.
No suspension. 750.
Plus
Now,
yes, sir. Plus the $125 administrative fee.
now,
Yes.
don't come back again. I know you understand what I'm saying. Okay? If they come in there and it's after 1 o'clock and the doors are locked and they can't get in with the police, council, it's going to be a different outcome.
Loud and clear, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Have a good day, folks.
30 days to pay, sir. Is that okay?
30 days, Mr. Previs?
Thank you very
30
much.
days. All right. Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, may I,
Off the record.
off the record?
Well, we're on the record as long as we're in front
Yeah,
of
as
the.
long as it's on
We're on the
TV.
record.
It's on, so be nice.
Hello, Wayne's World. It's my personal opinion, having read the statute, that violation hearings are not subject to the Open Meetings Act, and the board is free to convene privately for those.
I
That's
understand
The board's
that.
preference, but
I
I
understand
think there
that,
was a misunderstanding previously. Transfer hearings, renewal hearings, new license hearings are open.
I
meetings,
understand it, but let me explain to you why we put everything on the record. So that everyone, including members of the community, I don't think that gentleman's here anymore, and members of the press, get to hear everything that we say so that there's nothing in secret. And I understand what the law says, but that's just my practice.
I agree. It's nothing to prevent you from doing it. I just.
Right. No, I understand.
I thought there was a misunderstanding at some point that the law required it.
Nope.
Having been to the Court of Special Appeals on the open meetings in a liquor board hearing,
We get it.
I read it a little
We
bit
just
about it.
like to let everybody have their say and
Thank you very
know what's going on, and the whole world can watch.
Thank you so much.
All right, Mr.
Appreciate it.
Priebus,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, we're concluded.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you.